Hello, word nerds. Welcome to the dictionary. My name is Spencer, and I am recording this on April 1st, 7:02 a.m. April Fool's Day, if you like to celebrate. The French say April Fish Day, Happy Fish Day, something about fishes. They love their fishes. April Fools is a thing all over the world. Different cultures are celebrating it in different ways, I think. Maybe just a few. I don't know if everybody is. But I would like to think that everybody is celebrating April Fool's Day. But today, this episode is airing on in early May, and of course, you are more than likely not listening to this on the day that it airs. Some of you are. Some of you real extra special cool people are, but most of you are not. All right, let's just do it. The first word in this episode is exaltation or exaltation. exaltation, noun from the 14th century. Number 1, an act of exalting and the state of being exalted. And you got to go learn about exalt in the previous episode. Number 2 is an excessively intensified sense of well-being, power, or importance. So I guess if you feel like you are so important and you have so much power and you just feel so good, you have a sense of well-being about yourself, then you would be in a state of exaltation because your ego has been raised for some reason. Maybe at the end of a wonderful performance, you are in exaltation because you feel so good about what you did. 3, an increase in degree or intensity, as in exaltation of virulence. Virulence. I don't know how to say this word. I mean, I kind of do. Exaltation of virulence of a virus. Virulence of a virus. The virus virulence is very scary. Increase of so the intensity, how the virus is spreading, maybe through the body, through the community. It's been exalted because it's really ramped up. Okay, that's enough about exaltation, and I'm going to make a sound effect that's going to be woo-hoo-hoo. Next is exam, noun from 1872. The synonym is examination. Woohoo! Next is examen. This is with an en at the end, which I think is important to say. Examen. Noun from 1606, because yes, there is another examen with an ine. That's not this one, but the first definition, the synonym is examination. Number 2, a critical study. You know what? I'm mixing up. Yes, that's it. Okay. Number 2 is a critical study. The lines were getting blended in my vision a little bit. So a critical study is an examen. You are examining things in this study, which is very important. It's critical. And let's look at the etymology. This is a Latin word, examen, which means tongue of a balance or examination, which is from the Latin verb exigere, and there's more at the word exact. I really, really don't understand the phrase tongue of a balance. Tongue of a balance? If this means anything to you, please let me know. If I feel like looking it up, maybe I'll put something in the show notes for tongue of a balance and the examine word, and I don't get it. Okay. Ooh. Next is examinant. Examinant. Noun from 1588. Number 1, the synonym is examinee, which I assume will be in this episode. Yes. Number 2 is one who examines, and the synonym is examiner. Now, this seems very odd. that the examinant could be the one who is taking the exam, or it could be the one who is giving the exam. How do you know which one you're talking about? You need to be really clear and exact. You can't exaggerate. So yeah, the examinant could be either one. You gotta be extra clear with your words. Woo-hoo-hoo. Next is examination, noun from the 14th century. 1. The act or process of examining, and also the state of being examined. So, I think of a doctor's examination. The act or process of examining. The doctor is doing an examination on your body to make sure everything is cool. But also the state of being examined. So you would be in a state of examination when you are laying there on that weird white paper because it's sterile and you are in an examination and they're poking and prodding and listening to your heart and listening to your lungs and all these fun things. I gotta take a physical soon. I gotta get one done. I had to push my appointment. I was going to have this appointment a few days from now, and then something with work popped up, so I changed my appointment to June, and then my work thing went away, so I could have kept the appointment the whole time. Whatever. I can't wait to get an examination. It's my favorite. Number 2 for examination is an exercise designed to examine progress or test qualification. I said the word It's qualification or knowledge. Okay, an exercise designed to examine progress or test qualification or knowledge to see if you know something. Did you learn this stuff? Can you be qualified to do the thing that you are trying to learn to do? Yeah, what's your progress like? In your classes, maybe every Friday there's an exam, an examination. You have learned things Monday through Thursday, and then you take the examination on Friday. Have you learned anything? Why aren't you paying attention? Pay attention, please. Okay. So that's examination. Number 3 is a formal interrogation. The detectives might want to interrogate you, so they're going to do an examination on the information that is in your brain. Examinational is an adjective. Moving on. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Examine. This is the one with the I-N-E. Verb from the 14th century, starting with transitive. 1a. To inspect closely. Gotta look very closely at what's going on. I'm going to examine this thing. What's going on with this thing? I need a microscope to examine it properly. I'm going to look closely. 1b is to test the condition of. Is it working? Is it broken? We got to examine it. Number 1c, to inquire into carefully. You are inquiring into something, but so carefully. You don't want to disturb. The synonym is investigate. Yeah, the detectives, we watched a movie last night, which I'll talk about later. It was in the 50s, and there's a murder plot and a detective. So the detective has to go examine. They have to go talk to people, and they have to go check out the spaces and look for clues. And but they got to do it very carefully. They don't want to disturb anything. You don't want to disturb the murder scene. No. 2a is to interrogate closely. So we had to inquire carefully, to inquire into carefully, and to interrogate closely. So yeah, the detective is definitely going to get all up in the person's business. I got to get real close to interrogate you. Got to see, do your eyes dilate? Does your blood pressure, your speed, your pulse go up or down? Are you starting to sweat? Are you making those little microfacial things that you don't even know that you're doing, but you're giving away everything? Example is examine a prisoner. To to test by questioning in order to determine progress, fitness, or knowledge. You have to take, this is the examination test that you're doing. You're examining, but this is the teacher is examining the students when they give them the examination. Intransitive is to make or give an examination. A synonym is the word scrutinize. So yeah, you're scrutinizing. You're taking apart every little piece. You're checking out all the little details to examine this thing. I don't have anything. I mean, there's lots of things I could examine. I could examine all the ports on the electrical things. I prefer to examine all the weird little places in my brain. Examinable is an adjective. Examiner is a noun. Let's see. Any additional etymology? Nope, not really. So we're going to move on to examinee. Noun from 1788. A person who is examined. They are taking the exam. They are the one that the doctor is examining. So many possibilities. Example is next. First form, noun from the 14th century. One that serves as a pattern to be imitated or not to be imitated, as in a good example. There are these fuzzes on my microphone. What's going on? So it's important, I think, to say that it should be imitated, the example. You want to imitate the example or you don't. You don't want to be an example of how that person has been living their life. That would be a bad example. So don't do that. So either way, good example, bad example, imitate or don't. You got to do what you got to do. Number 2, a punishment inflicted on someone as a warning to others. Also, an individual so punished. I think, was it in the movie Spartacus? Spartacus. They made an example out of one of the people, if I'm remembering correctly, to show this is what will happen to you if you don't behave. Yes, you don't. I don't think you would want to be an example, unless it's a good example. That would be fine. But usually when it's used in that context, it's all about punishment. I'm going to make an example out of you to punish you and to warn others. Number 3, one that is representative of all of a group or type. I don't know if I would be the prime example of a podcaster, but, maybe close. I want to be an example. What do I want to be an example of? Just myself. I want to be an example of myself, so I will know how to behave when I watch old videos of myself. I don't know where that went. Number 4, a parallel or closely similar case, especially when serving as a precedent or model. This seems like maybe we're talking about legal cases, parallel or close. Yeah, because it literally says case right there. Some sort of crime, something, a police case, a court case. So yes, we need an example of back in that case, they did it this way. And so do we want to do it that way? What are the similarities? What are the differences? We need an example. Number 5, an instance as a problem to be solved, serving to illustrate a rule or precept, or to act as an exercise in the application of a rule. It's a long definition, kind of. An instance served to illustrate a rule or precept. So this is all of these example sentences in this book. Those are this number 5 definition, right? You're illustrating how this thing is used in application, in a real situation. A good example. Now they should have put an example sentence here. That would have been pretty great. But they didn't. They could have They could have metaized it. They could have said something like, this example sentence is a good example of an example in this definition. Synonyms are the words instance and model. We have a phrase, for example. We say this all the time. For example, I would like to explain more to you in case you don't understand. This is as an example. As in the example, there are many sources of air pollution. Exhaust fumes, for example. They put it at the end. Sometimes you put it at the end, after the example. Sometimes you put it before the example. They could have said, there are many sources of air pollution. For example, exhaust fumes. Yes, all of our cars that are not running exclusively on electricity, they are putting out exhaust fumes into the air, and they're causing problems. And that's just one of the many things that are causing problems into our air. Great. The etymology. This is from the Latin verb examere, which means to take out, which is from ex plus emere, which means to take, and there's more at the word redeem. So I'm a little confused as to how that connects to what we think of as example. You're taking it out of context, I'm not sure. Woo-hoo-hoo. The second form of example is a verb from the 15th century. It's just transitive. Number 1, to serve as an example of. And this is probably in the punishment situation. You are exampling, not necessarily though, to serve as an example of. So it could be anything, but if you have been made an example of, you would be exampling behavior not to do. But you could also, and it's weird to say exampling, but it's technically correct. You could be exampling how to make some cookies. And so that would be the verb. But how often is example used as a verb? Number 2 is archaic, and this is to be or set an example to. To be an example to, or to set an example. That's it. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Next we have exanimate? No. Exanimate. Exanimate. Yeah, that's it. Exanimate. So it's animate or animate with EX at the front. Adjective from circa 1534. Exanimate. Exanimate. Okay. This is number 1, lacking animation, and the synonym is spiritless. So if I'm just sitting here not really doing anything interesting, and I'm just sort of bored and whatever and ho-hum, then I would be exanimate, because I have no spirit, no animation, nobody has drawn me. Okay, number 2 is being or appearing lifeless. When my cat is taking a nap, sometimes they appear lifeless because I'm like, are you even breathing? Just a couple of days ago, our cat was napping on the couch in between us, and we had to make sure that she was breathing because we were like petting her a little bit, and usually when you touch her, like wherever, just to see she wakes up. She's like, what? What's going on? Let me sleep. I'm napping here. But she wasn't moving, and that really kind of freaked me out. So she was exanimate because she appeared lifeless. What's the etymology for this one? It is from the Latin verb exonimare, which means to deprive of life or spirit. I guess murder would be that would be this verb. You are taking the life, taking the spirit. You could do it more metaphorically, not literally. Don't kill anybody, please and thank you. No, it could be just taking away what makes somebody fun and interesting, and I don't know what that could even be. This word is from ex plus anima, which means breath or soul. And then there's more at the word animate or animate. Depends on what form of the word it is. Yeah, I remember talking about that a long time ago because I love animation and stuff. And so, yeah, it's all about breathing life, putting breath and soul and something into a thing. A puppet, a cartoon, something. Yeah, I did not know that this word exists. Exanimate. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Next is exanthem or exanthem. Exanthem. It's X and then anthem. It could be also exanthema or exanthema. Exanthema. Oh, okay. Noun from 1656. The plural would be exanthems or exanthemata. Yeah, or exanthemas. Exanthemas? Yeah. Okay, lots of different forms. This is an eruptive disease as measles or its symptomatic eruption. Oh, so like I guess chickenpox would maybe also be one of these where it's a disease where there are things that grow on your body and then plop, 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 plop. They might pop, they might erupt, they might ooze. Ooze. Yeah, so that all of those would be exanthems or exanthemas. Exanthematus or exanthematic, those are adjectives. So that disease, that measles disease, would be exanthematic or exanthematus. Okay, lots of different ways to form this word, which is extra confusing, but the general idea, this all stays the same, because the etymology says this is from the Greek exanthine, which means to bloom or break out. When you're going through puberty, it's mostly during puberty time, although adults get it too, you get breakouts. Your face and maybe other parts of your body are just like, I'm just going to let all this stuff bloom out of my face. It's blooming. It's breaking out. We've all been there. Some of us are still there sometimes. Yeah, so that word exanthine is from the X prefix plus anthos, which means flower. And there's more at the word anthology. So yes, blooming, to bloom. It's from flower. That makes sense. The flowers are blooming. You can say that if you are having a big breakout session of pimples on your face, you can say that, oh, those are my flowers and they are blooming. That's a much nicer way to put it. I think that's a good way to form that situation in your life. Woo-hoo. Next is exaptation. Exaptation. So it's X and then aptation. That's not really a word. This is a noun from 1981. The synonym is pre-adaptation. Right? Pre-adaptation. What is that? You have adapted something beforehand? How is that even possible? What is this word? I can't think. Pre-adaptation? Exaptation. Well, this is from the X prefix plus the word adaptation, but we've taken off the ad, and so it's exaptation. Very odd word, and I don't know what pre-adaptation is. Is this really clear? Is this? I feel like I need to do a look. I feel like it's. I should know what it is. Exaptation and the related term co-option. Describe a shift in the function of a trait during evolution. For example, a trait can evolve because it served one particular function, but subsequently it may come to serve another. Exaptations are common in both anatomy and behavior. Bird feathers are a classic example. So maybe bird feathers adapted because they wanted to stay warm, but then they were like, we can use these to fly? Oh my God, that's a cool exaptation. Okay, so it's an adaptation that is being used in a way that it wasn't meant for. This is another definition, an adaptation which serves a different purpose from the one for which it evolved. Yes, cool, exaptation, love that word. All right, we got one more word for this episode. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Exarch. No, it's exarch. 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 You can see why I thought it was exarch. This is the first form. It's noun from 1588. Number 1. A Byzantine viceroy is an exarch. It seems like archbishop could maybe, but probably not. I'm reading too much into this. Number 2 is an Eastern bishop ranking below a patriarch. Patriarch, exarch. What's arch? I don't remember. It's also above a metropolitan. I didn't know that was a word in this world of bishops and patriarchs. But specifically, the head of an independent church. This church is not affiliated with any other groups or people or corporations or anything, and so they are independent, and the one who is running that church is the exarch. Exarchal is an adjective. Exarchate, exarchate, that is a noun, and exarchy is a noun. The exarchy, so that's like the monarchy and the anarchy, and I don't remember what arch is. Now I want to relearn what arch is, A-R-C-H, because I think that will help us get a better understanding, might give us some good examples of things that we should think about. Here we go. We are at the right page. A-R-C-A-O-C-H. Lots of things. Typically curved structure, something resembling an arc. Arc. Which one? Mischievous and saucy. Ooh. Marked by no, we don't want that. A curvature. Where is it? To form an arc. Is it its own? Here's the arc prefix. Maybe there's an arc suffix. Ooh, here we go. Ruler or leader. Yep. That's what we wanted. Yeah, that's what it's all about. So, but X, why X? Why is it an exarch? Well, Spencer, you can read the etymology. This is from the Lower Greek exarchos, which is also from Greek, which means leader. From exarchein, which means to begin or take the lead, which is from the X prefix plus the word archein, which means to rule or begin. And there's more at the prefix arch. Yeah, the prefix. I didn't read that one when I just looked back, and I'm not going to go back because then I got to find the page again. Okay. Yeah, exarch is all in the religious world, it seems like, pretty much. Let's pick a word of the episode. We had today exaltation, exam, examine, examinant, examination, examine, examinee, example, example, examinate, 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 exanthem, exaptation, and exarch. And I think I would like to pick exanimate as the word of the episode. I kind of like example too. I don't know which one. Do we? I like, fine. Let's pick example because I like examples. I need examples. Helps me to understand something better. Examples help me to understand things better. Yes, they do. Let's stop there. We don't need to go on any further than that. That silly little jingle. All right. I'm going to tell you about another movie that I watched, which is Billy Elliot. I watched this around when it came out. It's from 2000. I watched it around then, but Sharon had never seen it, and she wanted to see it, and I said, okay, let's see it. And we watched it, and it's a delightful movie that deals with, it's a pretty serious situation in this person's life. They are, I don't know, is he 11 or 12? He's a kid, and he's learning boxing in his free time, but quickly, very quickly, right away early in the movie, he's like, you know what? I think I would rather do dance. I love to dance. I love to move. ballet specifically because he saw a ballet class and he's just like, this is what I'm going to do. He doesn't care. He hides it because, this is 1984 in England and it's weird for a boy to want to do ballet. So he just goes right in and he just sort of figures it out as he goes. And of course, his dad is like, "Rah, rah, rah, I don't want you to do ballet." They say ballet. And then there's this whole subtext of the miners striking because of conditions and pay and everything. And so that's going on at the same time. And yeah, it's good and it's worth it. And there's been like stage shows, musicals, there's other forms of this show, Billy Elliot. And so if you've never seen the movie, you should go see the movie. This is the end of the episode. Thank you so much. I'm slapping you. You can look at it in the video. I don't know why I'm slapping you. I'm grateful that you're here. Don't slap the people. Thanks for checking out this show. Until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye.